The Valkyrie warship moved through space like a giant metal beast. It was huge, bigger than any ship humans had ever built. Inside its dark halls, thousands of alien soldiers walked with pride. They had won many wars. They had crushed many enemies. They believed they were the greatest beings in the universe. Deep in the lowest level of the ship, in a small cold cell, sat a human man. His name was Danny Cole. He was 32 years old. He had brown hair that was now dirty and messy. His face had cuts and bruises. His uniform was torn, but his eyes were still sharp and clear. Danny had been a prisoner for 11 days. 11 days of bad food. 11 days of cold floors. 11 days of aliens looking at him like he was a bug. He sat with his back against the metal wall. He was thinking, always thinking. He counted the guards who walked past his cell. He listened to the sounds of the ship. He remembered every turn they had taken when they brought him here. 2 Valkyrie guards stopped in front of his cell. They were tall, almost 8 feet. Their skin was blue and shiny. They had 4 arms and 2 legs. Their eyes glowed like orange fire. When they spoke, their mouth parts clicked together and made strange sounds. "Look at this thing," the first guard said. He spoke in the common language that all species in the galaxy used. "So small, so weak. I heard their bones break like dry sticks." The second guard laughed. It was an ugly sound. "My child could kill 10 of them." Danny did not move. He did not speak. He just looked at them with empty eyes. "The Empress wants to see this one," the first guard said. "She wants to know why the humans keep fighting when they have already lost." The second guard made a sound of surprise. "The Empress herself? For this tiny creature? He killed 19 of our warriors before we caught him. 19, by himself." Both guards looked at Danny with new eyes. There was still no respect there, but there was something else. Maybe a little bit of wonder, maybe a little bit of doubt. They opened the cell door. Energy chains appeared around Danny's wrists. The chains were made of light, but they were strong. He could not break them. Danny stood up slowly. His body hurt. Everything hurt. But he did not show it on his face. He walked between the 2 guards without fighting. There was no point in fighting now. Not yet. They walked through long hallways. Danny looked at everything. He saw where the guards stood. He saw where the doors were. He saw which way led up and which way led down. His brain was like a computer, saving all of this information. The guards talked to each other like Danny was not there. "The war goes well," the first one said. 3 more human colonies fell last week. "Good. The sooner we finish these humans, the sooner we can go home. They fight hard for such weak creatures. Stupid creatures. They cannot win. They should just give up." Danny kept walking. He kept his face empty, but inside, he felt a cold fire burning. Give up. The Valkyrie did not understand. Humans did not give up. It was not in their blood. They came to a huge door made of gold and white stone. It was beautiful in a cold way. Guards stood on both sides. They looked at Danny like he was dirt on their shoes. The doors opened. The room inside was the biggest room Danny had ever seen. The ceiling was so high he could barely see it. The walls were covered with gold and jewels. Lights floated in the air like small stars. Hundreds of Valkyrie stood in the room, all of them wearing rich clothes, all of them looking at Danny with hate and disgust. At the far end of the room was a throne. It was made from a single giant crystal that glowed with soft light. And on that throne sat the most powerful being in 3 galaxies, Empress. VEL single quotes THARA. She was different from the other Valkyrie. She was taller. Her blue skin was darker, almost purple. She had 4 eyes instead of 2, and all of them glowed like suns. Gold jewelry covered her body. A crown of light floated above her head. She was beautiful. She was terrible. She was power itself. The guards pushed Danny forward. He walked down the long path between the watching nobles. They whispered to each other. Some laughed. Some made sounds of disgust. One of them spit at him. Danny kept walking. His back was straight. His head was high. He would not let them see him weak. He stopped at the bottom of the steps that led to the throne. The guards pushed him down to his knees. Danny went down, but slowly, in his own time. Even this small thing was a fight. Empress Velthara looked at him. Her 4 eyes moved over his body like she was reading a book. "You are the one," she said. Her voice was deep and beautiful, like music and thunder mixed together. "You are the one who killed 17 of my warriors." Danny looked up at her. He knew he should look down. He knew he should show fear. But he was tired of playing games. 19, he said. His voice was rough from not talking for days. 2 more died from their wounds later. The room exploded with noise. The nobles shouted and screamed. They called for his death. One general, a huge Valkyrie with scars all over his face, pulled down his sword and walked toward Danny. "Let me kill this thing," the general said. "Let me cut its head off for speaking to you like that." Empress Velthara raised one hand. The room went silent. The general stopped like he had hit a wall. Everyone froze. "Interesting," the Empress said. She was not angry. She sounded almost amused. "You stand in chains before the ruler of 3 galaxies. You are surrounded by creatures who could tear you apart with their bare hands. And you correct my count of your kills." She leaned forward on her throne. Her 4 eyes burned into his 2. "What are you, human?" Danny looked at her. He did not look away. He did not blink. "I am a soldier, Your Majesty. Nothing more." "Nothing more," she repeated. "Just a soldier. A soldier from a species that has only been in space for 300 years. A soldier from a planet of soft creatures who need machines to survive in the cold. A soldier from a race that my empire could burn to ash in a single day." "Yes," Danny said. "And yet you are not afraid." Danny thought about his answer. He thought about his home. He thought about his friends who had died in the war. He thought about his sister back on Earth, probably thinking he was dead. "I am afraid," he finally said. "I would be stupid not to be afraid. But fear is just a feeling. It does not control me. I control it." The Empress sat back on her throne. Something changed in her eyes. Danny did not know what it was. Interest, maybe. Or respect. Or something darker. "Take him to the palace holding cells," she said to the guards. "Clean him. Feed him. I wish to speak with him again." The general stepped forward. "Your Majesty, this is wrong. He is an enemy. He should be executed. He killed 19 of our warriors by himself," the Empress said. 19 trained soldiers, and he is still alive. He's either very lucky or very dangerous. I want to know which." She looked at Danny one more time. "And I want to know how such a small creature learned to be so hard." The guards grabbed Danny and pulled him away. As he left the throne room, he heard the nobles talking in angry voices. They did not like this. They wanted him dead. Danny smiled to himself. Good. Let them be angry. Let them be confused. That was how humans won. Not with bigger ships or better weapons, but with surprise, with confusion, with the simple fact that they never, ever stopped fighting. The war was not over. It was just beginning. The weeks passed. Danny Cole fought in the arena 12 times. Each time, the Valkyrie sent their best warriors. Each time, they expected him to die. Each time, he survived. He fought against giants with axes. He fought against beasts with claws as long as swords. He fought against machines that had been built only to kill. Once, a combat drone went crazy during a fight. Someone had made it malfunction on purpose, hoping it would kill him. Danny destroyed it by climbing inside its armor and cutting its power lines. The Valkyrie public began to change. At first, they came to watch him die. Then they came to see how he would win. Betting pools formed across the empire. People argued about his fighting style. Young Valkyrie warriors started asking their teachers about human combat methods. Some still hated him. Many still wanted him dead. But others were starting to feel something else. Something like admiration. Commander Kethril was angry. He stood in the Empress's private meeting room, his fists clenched, his voice loud. "This is wrong," he said. "This human is making us look foolish. Every time he wins, the human resistance grows stronger. Rebels across the empire are using him as a symbol. They say if one human can beat our warriors, then maybe humans can beat our fleets." Empress Velthara sat in a chair by the window. She was watching the stars. Her face showed nothing. "What do you suggest?" she asked. "Execute him. Put his head on a spike and broadcast it across all channels. Show the humans what happens to those who resist. And if that makes him a martyr? If his death inspires more rebellion than his life?" Kethril went quiet. He had not thought of that. The Empress turned to look at him. Her 4 eyes glowed in the dim light. "I have ruled for 300 years, Commander. I have conquered civilizations. I have crushed rebellions. I have seen species rise and fall." She stood up and walked to a screen on the wall. With a touch, she brought up recordings of Danny's arena fights. "And I have never been so confused by a single being. He is just a human. A clever animal, is he?" The Empress pointed at the screen. It showed Danny climbing up Rathver's body, blade in hand. "Look at his eyes. Look at how he moves. This is not animal instinct. This is calculation. This is a mind that sees threats and opportunities faster than our best warriors." She changed the recording. Now it showed Danny using a dead enemy's body as a shield against plasma fire. He learns during the fight itself. He adapts in seconds. He finds weaknesses we did not know existed. The Empress turned to face Kethril. "Tell me, Commander, in all your 40 campaigns, have you ever seen anything like this?" Kethril wanted to say yes. He wanted to say he had faced enemies just as dangerous, but he could not. It would be a lie. "No, Your Majesty, neither have I." The Empress sat back down. "The humans are not surviving despite being weak. Their weakness is their strength. I do not understand." "Of course you do not. You were born strong. Your people have been strong for 1,000,000 years. You have never needed to be desperate." She looked at the screen again. Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. They fought everything. Disease, weather, animals, each other. Every generation faced extinction. They learned to survive not by being the strongest, but by refusing to die. She turned off the screen. "We have been fighting this war wrong." That night, the Empress sent for Danny. He came to her private chambers without guards or chains. He walked through halls where servants once spit at him. Now they bowed as he passed. The Empress's rooms were beautiful. Soft lights, gentle music, windows that looked out at the galaxy. It was a place of peace and comfort. Danny stood in the middle of the room. He was covered in scars from his fights. His body was thin from weeks of combat. But his eyes were still sharp, still alive. "You wanted to see me, Your Majesty. Sit." She pointed to a chair across from her own. "You have earned the right to rest your legs." Danny sat. It felt strange to sit on something soft. He had almost forgotten what comfort felt like. "You said I would earn the right to speak as an equal," he said. "Is that why I am here?" "Yes." The Empress looked at him. "You have proven yourself. 12 battles, 12 victories. No human has ever done what you have done. I had good motivation. Survival? That, and something else. Danny met her eyes. I wanted to show you something. I wanted to show all of you. What? That you do not know us. You think we are small and weak. You think you can crush us and move on to your next conquest. But you are wrong. We are not like your other enemies. We do not break. The Empress was quiet for a long moment. My commander wants me to kill you, she said. I know. He says you are dangerous. He says your example is inspiring rebellion across the Empire. Is he wrong? No. The Empress leaned forward. He's not wrong. You are dangerous. More dangerous than any enemy we have faced. She paused. And that is why I brought you here. Danny felt cold. This was it. This was where she told him he would die. End the war. The words came out of Danny's mouth before he could stop them. The Empress raised one eyebrow. Excuse me? End the war, Danny said again. You have seen what one human can do. Imagine what millions can do. Imagine what billions can do. Your fleets are broken. Your colonies burn. You have already lost. And yet you brought me here to talk. Danny leaned forward. You are not stupid, Your Majesty. You see what is coming. Tell me what I see. You can win this war. You can destroy Earth. You can kill every human in the galaxy. Danny's voice was calm, but his words were not. But it will cost you. It will cost you more than any war you have ever fought. We will not surrender. We will not give up. We will fight in space and on planets and in the streets of our cities. We will fight until the last human is dead. And when that last human falls, your empire will be so weak that every species you have conquered will see their chance. The Empress said nothing. Your empire will collapse within a generation, Danny said. Not because of us, but because of what fighting us will do to you. Still silence. Or, Danny continued, you can be the first ruler in Valkyrie history to offer terms to an enemy that has not been defeated. You can gain an ally instead of a corpse. You can have human soldiers fighting for your empire instead of against it. You would serve us? The Empress's voice was strange. After what we have done to you? After the colonies we have burned? Danny smiled. It was tired and sad. We are survivors, Your Majesty. We do not hold grudges when survival is on the table. Give us a place in your empire. Treat us as partners, not slaves. And we will help you hold what you have built. He leaned back in his chair. But try to destroy us, and we will tear it all down around your ears. Even if it kills us. Especially if it kills us. The room was quiet. The stars turned slowly outside the windows. Empress Valthara looked at Danny Cole. She looked at this small, broken, unbreakable creature. She looked at the scars on his body and the fire in his eyes. And for the first time in 300 years, she felt something she had almost forgotten. Respect. You speak boldly for a prisoner. I speak truth for a soldier. The Empress stood. She walked to the window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, human ships were still fighting. Human soldiers were still dying. Human children were still hoping. I will think about what you have said. Danny stood up. That is all I ask, Your Majesty. He turned to leave. Human. He stopped. What is your name? Your real name? Danny Cole. Just Danny. Just Danny. The Empress did not turn around. Sleep well? Just Danny. Tomorrow will be an interesting day. Danny left the room. Behind him, Empress Valthara stood alone with the stars and her thoughts. Change was coming. She could feel it in her bones. The question was, what kind of change would it be? The palace holding cells were different from the cells on the warship. They were cleaner. They had beds with soft covers. They had windows that showed the alien sky. But they were still prisons. The walls were still made of metal that Danny could not break. The door was still locked. They gave him new clothes. Simple gray clothes, but clean. They gave him food that did not taste like garbage. They let him wash in hot water for the first time in weeks. Danny knew this was not kindness. This was a trick. Make the prisoner comfortable. Make him relax. Then break him. He had been trained for this. On the first day, Commander Kethril came to see him. Kethril was old for a Valkyrie. His blue skin had turned gray in some places. Scars covered his body like a map of all the wars he had fought. He walked with the confidence of someone who had never lost. "I am Commander Kethril," he said, standing outside Danny's cell. "I am the chief military advisor to the Empress. She has given me the task of questioning you." Danny sat on his bed and looked at the commander. "Ask your questions. Tell me about human military structure. How many ships do you have? Where are they based? What are your defense codes?" Danny smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Danny Cole, Sergeant. Service number 7-7-3-9-2. Kethril's eyes flashed with anger. "You will tell me what I want to know." "Danny Cole, Sergeant. Service number 7-7-3-9-2. There are ways to make you talk, I know." Danny leaned back against the wall. "I have been trained to resist them." Kethril stared at him for a long moment. Then he turned and walked away without another word. The next day, he came back with a small device. It looked like a metal ball with lights on it. Danny knew what it was. Every soldier knew. It was a pain machine. It could make every nerve in your body feel like it was on fire. "Last chance," Kethril said. "Tell me about your military." Danny stood up. He walked to the middle of his cell. He looked at Kethril with steady eyes. "Do what you have to do." Kethril pressed a button. Danny had felt pain before. He had been shot. He had been stabbed. He had broken bones and torn muscles. He thought he knew what pain was. He was wrong. The pain from the machine was everywhere. It was in his skin and his bones in his brain. It was like being burned and frozen and crushed all at the same time. Danny fell to the floor. His body shook. Sounds came from his mouth that were not words. After 10 seconds, Kethril turned it off. Danny lay on the floor. His breath came in short gasps. Blood came from his nose where he had hit the ground. "Tell me," Kethril said. Danny pushed himself up. His arm shook. His whole body shook. But he got to his knees, then to his feet. He stood there, swaying like a tree in a storm. "Danny Cole," he whispered. "Sergeant. Service number 7-7-3-9-2. Kethril pressed the button again. This time it lasted 30 seconds. When it stopped, Danny did not get up right away. He lay on the floor, breathing, trying to remember who he was and where he was. But he got up again. Slower this time. It took him longer. But he got to his feet. "You are only hurting yourself," Kethril said. "Tell me what I want to know, and the pain stops." Danny spit blood onto the floor. "You think this is the worst thing that has ever happened to me?" He laughed. It was a broken sound. "I have been married. I have been divorced. I have watched friends die in my arms. Pain is nothing new." Kethril studied him with something that might have been curiosity. "Why do you resist? Your people have lost. Your fleets are broken. Your colonies burn. What is the point of this suffering?" Danny wiped blood from his mouth. "You do not understand us, Commander. That is your problem. That is why you cannot beat us. Explain." "Humans do not fight because we think we will win. We fight because we have to fight. It is in our blood. It is in our bones. You could burn Earth to ashes. You could kill every human in the galaxy. And the last one alive would still be reaching for a weapon." Danny's eyes burned with cold fire. "That is what we are. That is what you are fighting against. Not ships. Not soldiers. But the simple fact that we never, ever stop. Catherall hit him across the face. Danny's head snapped to the side. More blood came from his lip. When he looked back at Catherall, he was smiling. "See?" Danny said. "You are already frustrated. And we have barely started." The commander left without another word. But Danny saw something in his eyes. Something that had not been there before. Fear. Days passed. Catherall tried different things. He tried the pain machine at higher settings. He tried not giving Danny food or water. He tried keeping him awake for days at a time. Nothing worked. On the 5th day, Catherall tried talking instead of torture. "Your people cannot win this war," he said. He sounded tired. "We have conquered 1,000 worlds. We have destroyed species that were ancient when your people were still living in caves. Why throw your life away for nothing?" Danny sat on his bed. He was thin now. His eyes had dark circles under them. But his voice was still strong. "Because nothing is what I have left to give. I do not understand. I know." Danny looked at him. "Do you want to understand? Really understand?" Catherall said nothing. But he did not leave. "Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill us every day," Danny said. "We had diseases that could wipe out millions. We had animals that could eat us alive. We had weather that could freeze us or burn us or drown us. And we had each other. We fought wars for thousands of years. We killed each other by the billions." He leaned forward. "And we survived. Not because we were the strongest. Not because we were the fastest. Not because we were the smartest. But because we never gave up. Never. That is the one thing we do better than any other species in the universe. We endure." Catherall was quiet for a long time. "You are a strange species," he finally said. "Yes," Danny agreed. "We are." Word about the human prisoner spread through the palace. Servants who brought his food would stay to look at him. Guards would stop outside his cell and stare. Nobles came down from the upper levels, just to see the creature who would not break. The Empress watched everything through hidden cameras. She sat in her private rooms and watched the recordings of Danny's torture. She watched him fall and get up again. Fall and get up again. Fall and get up again. On the 7th day, she called him back to the throne room. This time, there were no crowds. No nobles. No guards except the ones who brought him. Just the Empress on her crystal throne, alone in that huge room. "My commander tells me you have revealed nothing," Belthara said. "That is correct. Your Majesty, he has used every method of questioning we have. Pain, hunger, exhaustion. You have resisted them all." "Yes." The Empress stood up. She walked down the steps from her throne. She came close to Danny, closer than she had ever been. He could smell her perfume. It was like flowers and lightning. "I could have you torn apart," she said softly. "I could have your homeworld bombed until nothing lives there. I could make your species suffer in ways you cannot imagine." Danny looked up at her. She was so tall, so powerful. He was nothing compared to her. "You could," he said, "but you would not learn anything that way either. I think you want to learn. I think that is why I'm still alive." Something changed in the Empress's eyes. Surprise, maybe, or respect. "You are brave," she said. "Stupid, perhaps, but brave. Thank you, Your Majesty." She laughed. The sound filled the empty room. It was a real laugh, not a cruel one. "I begin to see why your species troubles us," she said. "Perhaps I have been approaching this the wrong way. Pain does not break you. Threats do not frighten you. So perhaps I need to try something different." Danny felt a cold feeling in his stomach. "What do you mean?" The Empress smiled. It was not a kind smile. "I have decided to let you prove yourself, human. In the arena, she turned and walked back to her throne. "You will fight our warriors. If you survive, you will earn the right to speak with me as an equal. If you die—" She sat down and looked at him with her 4 burning eyes. "Well, then the question of human strength will be answered once and for all." Danny stood there in his chains. The arena. He had heard stories about the Valkyrie arena. Warriors went in. Bodies came out. But he was still alive. And as long as he was alive, there was hope. "When do I start?" he asked. The Empress smiled again. "Tomorrow." The Valkyrie arena was a circle of stone and metal that could hold 50,000 people. It was old, older than many of the stars in the sky. For thousands of years, warriors had fought there. Heroes had been made there. Legends had been born there. Today, the arena was full. Every seat was taken. The crowd was loud and hungry. They had come to see something special. They had come to see a human die. Danny stood in the preparation room under the arena. Through the walls, he could hear the crowd. They were chanting something. He did not understand the words, but he understood the meaning. They wanted blood. A guard came in with weapons and armor. He dropped them on the floor in front of Danny. "Choose the," guard said. Danny looked at what they had given him. There was a large sword, heavy enough to cut through bone. There was a spear as tall as a Valkyrie. There were axes and clubs and other weapons built for creatures much bigger than him. And in the corner, there was a small pile of things. A short blade, no longer than his forearm. A small round shield. Simple leather armor. "Those are training weapons," the guard said. "For children who are learning to fight." Danny picked up the short blade. He tested its weight. He moved it through the air. It felt right in his hand. "These will do." The guard laughed. "You're a funeral human." Danny put on the leather armor. It was too big, made for Valkyrie bodies, but he tied it tight. He took the shield in his left hand and the blade in his right. He was ready. The doors opened. Bright light flooded in. The sound of the crowd hit him like a wave. Danny walked out into the arena. The ground was sand, packed hard from centuries of battles. The walls were high, too high to climb. Above the walls, the crowd roared. Valkyrie of all ages pointed at him and laughed. They threw things at him, food, rocks, whatever they could find. On one side of the arena, in a special box made of gold and crystal, sat Empress Valthara. She was watching him with her 4 bright eyes. A voice boomed through the arena. It came from everywhere at once. "Today we witness a special event. A human, a member of the species that dares to fight against our great empire, will face our warriors. Let us see what these creatures are really made of." The crowd cheered. A door on the other side of the arena opened. A figure stepped out. He was young for a Valkyrie, maybe 20 years old by their counting. But he was huge, almost 9 feet tall. His skin was bright blue, the color of a healthy warrior in his prime. He wore beautiful armor that covered his chest and legs. In his hands, he carried a plasma lance. The weapon was twice as long as Danny was tall. Its tip glowed with deadly energy. "Rathfer," the voice announced. "Son of a noble house. Killer of 20 enemies in battle. He will have the honor of ending this human's life." Rathfer walked to the center of the arena. He looked at Danny with eyes full of pride and hate. "I expected something bigger," Rathfer said. "You are nothing but a small bug." Danny did not answer. He was watching how Rathfer moved, watching how he held his weapon, watching his feet, his arms, his eyes. The horn sounded. The fight had begun. Rathfer charged. He was fast, much faster than something that big should be. His lance shot forward, aimed at Danny's chest. Any normal creature would have run. Any normal creature would have frozen in fear. Danny ran forward. He ducked under the lance as it went past his head. He felt the heat of the plasma, close enough to burn his hair. But he did not stop. He kept running, straight at Rothfer. The Valkyrie tried to pull his lance back, but Danny was already too close. The weapon was too long. It was useless at this distance. Danny rolled between Rothfer's legs. As he passed, his blade found the soft place where the armor did not cover. He cut once, twice, 3 times, each cut deep and fast. Rothfer screamed. Purple blood sprayed onto the sand. He spun around, trying to find Danny, but the human was already moving. Always moving. Never stopping. Rothfer swung his lance like a club. Danny jumped over it. The Valkyrie punched with one of his 4 fists. Danny blocked it with his shield and felt his arm go numb from the power of the hit, but pain did not stop him. Nothing stopped him. Danny climbed. He used the ridges of Rothfer's armor like steps on a ladder. The Valkyrie tried to grab him, but Danny was too fast. He reached Rothfer's shoulder. He raised his blade, and he drove it through the soft spot under the warrior's jaw. Rothfer made a gurgling sound. His eyes went wide. Then he fell. 9 feet of Valkyrie warrior crashed to the sand like a falling tree. Danny stood on the body. He was breathing hard. Blood covered his hands and face. He looked up at the crowd. The arena was silent. 50,000 Valkyrie sat without making a sound. They could not believe what they had just seen. Danny raised his bloody blade. "You are bigger than us," he said. His voice was loud in the silence. "You are stronger than us. You are faster than us. You have better weapons and better armor." He pointed his blade at the royal box where the Empress sat. "But you have never fought anything that was not already beaten before the battle started. You have forgotten what it means to be desperate. You have forgotten what it means to fight for your life." He jumped down from the body. Who was next? For a moment, nothing happened. Then the crowd exploded with noise. Some were screaming for his death. Some were screaming in shock. But some, a few, were cheering. The Empress raised her hand. The crowd went quiet. "Send in another," she commanded. Over the next hour, Danny fought 4 more warriors. Each one was bigger than him. Each one was stronger. Each one was trained from birth to kill. Danny killed them all. He did not fight fair. He could not afford to fight fair. He used tricks that the Valkyrie had never seen. He threw sand in their eyes. He went for weak points in their armor. He used their own size against them, making them hit each other when they attacked in groups. When the 4th warrior fell, Danny could barely stand. He had cuts all over his body. One of his ribs was broken. His left eye was swelling shut, but he was alive. The crowd was not laughing anymore. They were not throwing things. They were watching him with a new feeling in their eyes. Some of them looked scared. The Empress stood up. "Enough," she said. Her voice carried across the entire arena. "Enough for today." She looked down at Danny. He looked up at her. "You have earned the right to fight again tomorrow," she said. "If you survive the night." Danny smiled. His teeth were red with blood. "I will survive," he said. "I am very good at surviving." The guards came and took him away. As he walked through the tunnel under the arena, he heard something he never expected to hear. Some of the crowd was chanting his name. Not many. Just a few. But it was a start. The Valkyrie had thought this would be easy. They thought they would watch a human die and laugh about it. Instead, they had watched a human win. And some of them, just a few, had started to wonder. Maybe they had been wrong about these small creatures from Earth. Maybe they had been wrong about a lot of things. In her private box, Empress Valthara sat alone. Her advisors had left. Her guards stood far away. She was watching the empty arena where Danny's blood still stained the sand. "Interesting," she said to herself. Very interesting. She had ruled for 300 years. She had conquered 1,000 worlds. She thought she had seen everything, but she had never seen anything like this human dot, and for the first time in a very long time, she wanted to understand. The announcement shocked the galaxy. Empress Velthara, ruler of 3 galaxies, conqueror of 1,000 worlds, offered humanity something that had never been offered before. Not terms of surrender, not demands for submission, but a treaty of alliance. The war was over, not with fire and death, but with words and signatures. The terms were unlike anything in Valkyrie history. Humanity would keep its independence. Earth would remain free. Human colonies would be returned to human control. In exchange, human soldiers would serve in the Valkyrie military, bringing their unique skills to an empire that had grown too. Comfortable with easy victories, the news spread across the stars like wildfire. Many did not accept it. On both sides, there were people who wanted the war to continue. Valkyrie generals called it weakness. Human admirals called it betrayal. There were protests in the streets of 100 worlds. There were assassination attempts on both the Empress and human leaders. 3 separate rebellions broke out in the first year. But the peace held. Danny Cole found himself at the center of everything. The Empress named him the first human liaison to the imperial court. He was given rooms in the palace. He was given servants and guards. He was given a title that made him one of the most important people in 2 civilizations. He hated it. I was a sergeant, he said to the Empress during one of their regular meetings. I was trained to follow orders and keep my people alive. I was not trained for politics. Velthara smiled. It was a real smile, not the cold political smile she showed to others. You were trained to survive, she said. Politics is just another kind of survival. The enemies are different. The weapons are words instead of blades. But the game is the same. I do not like games. Neither do I. That is why we understand each other. The alliance was tested in the 2nd year. A hostile force from another galaxy invaded the Empire's outer territories. They called themselves the Keth. They were creatures of crystal and energy, ancient beyond measure, and they had decided that the Valkyrie had grown too powerful. The Valkyrie fleets moved to fight them. They used their traditional methods. Massive ships, overwhelming firepower, direct confrontation. The Keth broke them like glass. For the first time in centuries, the Empire faced an enemy it could not simply crush. The Keth were too fast, too strange, too different. Traditional tactics did not work against them. Danny went to the Empress with an idea. Let us try something different, he said. Let human units operate independently. Small groups, fast ships, hit and run tactics. That is not how wars are won. It is how humans win wars. We do not fight fair. We cannot afford to fight fair. The Empress hesitated. Her commanders told her it was madness. Humans were too new, too weak, too unreliable. Trust me, Danny said. Just this once. If it fails, execute me. I will not complain. Against the advice of everyone around her, Velthara agreed. Human commando teams entered Keth territory. They did not attack the enemy fleets. They attacked the supplies, the communication stations, the leaders themselves. The Keth had never seen anything like it. They expected armies. They expected grand battles. Instead, they got shadows and knives and explosions in the night. Human teams sabotaged Keth power stations. They killed Keth generals in their own command centers. They spread confusion and fear through an enemy that had not felt fear in millions of years. When the Valkyrie fleets attacked again, they faced an enemy already half defeated. The Keth were broken in 6 months. A campaign that should have taken years was over before the harvest season. After the victory, Empress Velthara stood before her court. The great hall was full of nobles and commanders, Valkyrie and human alike. Danny stood beside the throne, wearing the uniform of a human soldier combined with the symbols of Valkyrie honor. For generations, the Empress said, we believed that strength came from size, from power, from the ability to crush our enemies beneath our feet. She looked out at her court. We were wrong. The room was silent. True strength does not come from the body that carries it. True strength comes from the will that refuses to surrender, from the mind that never stops fighting, from the heart that keeps beating even when all hope is gone. She turned to face Danny. The Valkyrie mocked the human soldier. We laughed at his small body. We laughed at his fragile bones. We thought him beneath our notice. Our 4 eyes glowed with something warm. We were fools. Danny bowed his head briefly. Then he raised it with a small smile. To be fair, Your Majesty, we are pretty short. The court erupted with laughter. Valkyrie and humans alike laughing together. It was a sound that had never been heard before in these ancient halls. The years passed. The alliance grew stronger. Human engineers worked with Valkyrie scientists to build wonders that neither species could have created alone. Human doctors developed medicines that saved Valkyrie lives. Valkyrie technology helped humans reach stars they had only dreamed of. Human soldiers became legendary throughout the Empire. They were small, yes, fragile by Valkyrie standards, but they fought with a fury and cleverness that earned respect on every battlefield. Young Valkyrie warriors asked to train with human teachers. They wanted to learn the secrets that made humans so hard to kill. There were still problems. There would always be problems. Some Valkyrie still saw humans as inferior. Some humans still hated the Empire for the war. Trust was built slowly, one day at a time, but it was built. Danny Cole served as human liaison for 15 years. He never married again. He never went back to Earth except for brief visits. The palace became his home. The Empress became his friend. On his 50th birthday, Valthara gave him a gift. It was a small blade, similar to the one he had used in the arena so many years ago. But this one was made of Valkyrie crystal, stronger than any human metal. I had it made for you, she said, to remind you of where we began. Danny held the blade in his hand. It felt right. It felt like home. You could have killed me, he said. That first day, when they brought me before you, you could have ended it there. I could have. But I saw something in your eyes. Something I had not seen in a very long time. What? Hope. The Empress looked at him with her 4 ancient eyes. You were a prisoner in chains, surrounded by enemies, facing certain death. And you still had hope. I wanted to know how that was possible. I wanted to know your secret. Did you find it? Yes, she smiled. The secret is simple. You never give up. No matter what happens. No matter how dark things get. You keep fighting. You keep hoping. You survive. Danny nodded slowly. That is what humans do. Yes, and now, perhaps, that is what we can do together. Outside the window, the stars turned in their endless dance. Somewhere out there, human ships flew alongside Valkyrie cruisers. Human soldiers fought beside alien warriors. Human children played with Valkyrie children, both species learning that different did not mean worse. The galaxy had mocked a human soldier. They had called him small. They had called him weak. They had laughed at his fragile body and his stubborn spirit. Now the galaxy knew better. Danny Cole, sergeant from Earth's 14th Expeditionary Force, looked out at the stars and smiled. The war had tried to break him. The arena had tried to kill him. The galaxy had tried to crush everything he was. He was still standing. He was still fighting. He was still human. And that, in the end, was enough. The end.